The most important decision that you have to make in life is whether or not you live in a helpful or a harmful universe, because either way, you're correct. It's about your attitude that decides what you make of the data before you. And he was just clean and happy and positive. And as a young-ish black man, I knew what he was going to be up against, but I didn't tell him, not just yet. So this poem is for the kid and everybody. It's called Impossible. And it goes like this. Tyreek walked in and was like, "Hey, yo, teacher, I want the finest girl in school to reject me. Just to see if I could walk off with my swagger still intact. I'm bad. My breath is like, Egg McMuffin. Double Dutching with double mint on my hopscotch tongue. My mouth is chalky. That's what confidence smell like. Girl, you tripping. I'm going to be somebody, though I know I'm exhaling more high octane than a Hummer. But still, how can I ask for a record deal one day if I can't ask for your number? And if Thomas Edison failed over 3,000 times before making the light bulb, then can I use your cold shoulder as a hot stepping stone into history? He said, I thought so. Impossible. And I said, Tyreek, impossible, said the horse-drawn wagon to the jet engine. Impossible, said the telegram wire to the text message. Impossible, said the whites-only sign to little Sasha Obama. Did you know that you will encounter at least 400 items a day that would not exist without Leonardo da Vinci, a man who did not see the inside of a schoolhouse until the age of 14? Einstein failed beginner's physics in 1899. Dr. King packed a pistol before 1960, and you have a dream. On the wrong side of a canyon, called tomorrow, have cried the river in between, and have misplaced your climbing equipment. But just because something is impossible does not make it not worth trying. Who cares if the summit is unreachable if climbing that mountain makes you into one? Strangely, courage only comes after you do the thing that's scary. But ask David just how tall Goliath looks when he's on his back. You are a stone's throw away from being legendary. Angels have carved your statue in heaven and wait for a reason to ship it to earth. Don't let haters handle your postage. Believe me, my people know a thing or two about doubters. There was a time when the Negro brain was thought scientifically capable of inventing memory and nothing more. Citing, quote, "There is a physical difference between them that will forever forbid them from living together upon the footing of perfect equality with whites." Abraham Lincoln. Now, as articulate as that may be, I believe the black folks who dreamed up the air conditioner, almanac, elevator, traffic light, super circle, cell phone, the peanut butter, the pyramids, and fire will disagree. Mr. Lincoln, we got a wireless call from your ego. He said, emancipate that. Show me your impossible. Tell me it can't be done. I'll show you a climb to a height unreachable is a climb already begun. Impossible, says the cancerous tumor to its pending extinction. Says war-torn parts of Africa to the return to global glory. Says the shooting rampage to its pending place in ancient history. Says sustainable to the oil companies reminding themselves it's like, duh. Did you know that you will encounter Did you know that you will inhale at least 10 sextillion atoms with every breath? Meaning, due to global wind patterns over 1 year's time, you will breathe an atom breathed by everyone on Earth and who has ever lived. Meaning, this poem is likely literally being brought to you by Shakespeare, Joan of Arc, Kennedy, Tubman, Dubois, Guevara, Yeshua, Yo Mama, and all of them asking, forget a millionaire, who wants to be a mountain anymore? People who keep the script flipping more hardcore than parkour, reminding haters, your failures are not my border patrol. My dreams are not your dartboard. I want the finest minds in science to reject my potential and see if they can walk off with their faces still intact. Oh, I'm bad. My breath is like humanity, limitless, unbounded, and impossibly free. Thank you very much. And now, the man of the hour with an air of great power, Bill Shireman.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. The theme that Theo was talking about there, impossibility. I want people to get a sense of what is impossible, because everything in this room right now is impossible from a strictly rational standpoint. And what makes it possible is a mysterious combination of forces that happens when people and ideas combine in unexpected ways that we can't predict. I want to welcome everybody to the first session of EarthX 2026, the first minute of our conference today on energy. Our discussion will be on the ecosystem of energy, of the various different types of fuels that we are beginning to use and combine in order to provide for the energy needs that we have. I want to emphasize just to the people in this room, not to be passed along to anyone else, that it's a little secret. Our mission, our purpose today is to create a community, to create connections between people in this room and the people at the other locations outside this room. The folks in this room, you can look around and you may not notice at first, but there are people from 10 different kinds of power in this room. There are people with financial power, there are people with political power, with cultural power, with marketplace power, with red and green and blue power. And all these different kinds of powers are special in and of themselves. But when you gather any two of those powers together, they become superpowers. Something is uniquely released through those combinations that is not possible when they are alone, but becomes possible, becomes emergent when they are together. This is particularly relevant in our times because we are at a time in history, a point of, I always forget the term that Churchill used, it's like incredibly simple, of uncertainty. It's basically a moment of uncertainty. We do not know what's happening next in history. We do not know. And it's not because it's knowable, it's because we're creating that future. It's very tempting when things are as confused as they are right now to say, well, I'm going to step back and wait for things to clarify, and then I can step in with confidence. But in my experience, that's the mistake that people make. When things are as confused as they are, that means that the parts are scattered about. And it's our opportunity to gather them together in the right combinations. And so our secret mission is to connect all of you together with one another and for you to discover each other and how your powers come together. Now, at EarthX, we have over the past 5-6 years developed specific objectives, marketplace objectives, transformative objectives that we want to see happen in the global marketplace. And we brought together the folks that will be making some of those changes. Tomorrow, we're going to celebrate 10 companies that have been leading in those changes. We also have a set of policies that EarthX has been advancing for a circular economy, for energy, for an energy ecosystem, for conservation, that draw together a large percentage of the public, that the public can really get behind and support. And we're going to learn about the energy ecosystem today, starting with this session and this discussion. And in a few minutes, we'll have one of the, well, I don't know if there is any institution that has a greater degree of respect for the data that it has accumulated over climate than MIT. And we'll have Professor John Sterman and Bethany Patton to talk about that data and how we can use that data in a few minutes. But I want to start the discussion by asking Hillary and Bob and Jennifer to come on up here and just to give some comments about the chaos that we see around us, and maybe a story or so about the chaos that we're experiencing and how we may want to look at it from the perspective of an opportunity. Now, these three folks could be seen as stereotypes. We have Bob Stout, our big oil lobbyist, big in so many respects, oil lobbyist. We have Jennifer, our Berkeley liberal. And we have Hillary, our corporate lawyer, M&A. One of the most accomplished lawyers in Houston, by the way, in the oil and gas sector. And one of the most accomplished advocates of environment and justice in Berkeley without adhering necessarily to the church that proclaims itself. And Bob, maybe not your typical big oil lobbyist or anything, as well as a wellness practitioner. But I want to just kind of open it up to the three of you to say, what do you see with this chaotic, crazy environment that we're in right now? It's scary, it's dangerous, it's opportune. Who wants to start?
Can I do one quick thing, Bill? And I want, just before I answer that question, I wanted to share, as many of you know, we lost Pope Francis on the day after Easter, after he was able to actually, but what I wanted to, since we're going to talk a lot about clean energy and climate change, is recognize his extraordinary leadership on that very topic. In 2015, as many of you will remember, he put out something called an encyclical called Laudato Si, which was extremely important. He highlighted climate change not only as a challenge driven by human activity, of course, but he warned that the poorest communities, the most vulnerable communities, those communities that were always in his heart would be the worst impacted. And that encyclical preceded, of course, the Paris Climate Agreement. So it was an important inspiration for that as well. But I also want to mention, as somebody who worked for one of the companies that was involved in this collaboration, that's BP, for many years, is in 2018 and 2019, he actually sat down with the business community, with bankers, and with oil and gas companies. Okay? Sure. Sure. I'm old enough that I'm going to say ladies first. Or young enough. But anyway, these were CEOs from companies ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, Eni, Equinor, Pemex, and investors like Blue Rock. Anyway, out of this, the companies issued a joint statement recognizing the urgent need to address climate change, calling for carbon pricing on the record, and also greater transparency in reporting climate risk. Now, those companies are going to continue to be held to those promises, and people may have differing views on how well they've been fulfilled, but it was an important moment, and the Pope's leadership, Pope Francis's leadership, played a critical part in this. So I wanted to share that as we say rest in peace. Thank you.